Okay, Rabbi Say, we are in Maseches Chagiga. We are in the second parak. We just started the second parak, and the second parak started to talk to us about certain dinim of when you can teach what in front of who. Right? There are certain teachings that, if you're not careful with them and not careful in how it's transmitted, they're going to be either missed or misconstrued, and they'll come out with the wrong psak. And the Mishnah stated the case of Ein Darshan Ba'arayas B'Shloisha, V'loy B'Maaseh Bereishis B'Shnayim, V'loy B'Mirkova B'Yachid. And so last week when we were learning, we saw the where we learned about Ein Dorshim Ba'arayot B'Shlosha, right? In certain cases of arayot, which people have a tendency to want. So you cannot be dorshin in front of three students, because what would happen? One rabbi would speak with one of the students, and the other two students would talk amongst themselves. They will miss certain parts of the halacha. Then they would think the rabbi never mentioned it, so it must be that it's mutar and it's not asur. Otherwise, the rabbi would have mentioned it. But they don't remember that they were talking, and they missed it all. So therefore, in order to evade that, we don't allow teaching these certain cases of arayot in front of three people. And then we have the Maaseh Bereshit and Maaseh Merkava, which last week we understood them to be somewhat of a mystical, somewhat Kabbalistic in nature. Maaseh Bereshit more as practical Kabbalah, the Sefer Yetzirah, and others like that. And whereas the Maaseh Merkava perhaps was a way to enter into heaven, right? To go into Shemaim and to see what's going on there. Again, more of a practical type of Kabbalah. So, and it said over there, the law of Maaseh Bereshit b'Shinayim. This is where we're picking up today. We're in Daf Yud Aleph Amud Bet. So you cannot teach Maaseh Bereshit b'Shinayim, one Rebbe with two students. Now, before we move on, it's important to take a look at this. This Rav Tzadok of Milublin Rav Tzadok says, but today you'll see many Choshev people put out Sfarim on Kabbalah. Okay, and Sfarim go to everybody. Right? It's not just in front of two people; it's in front of thousands. In fact, Rav Tzadok would say there today. There groups of people learning Kabbalah, right? So how does that happen when you said you can't do one in front of two? So Rav Tzadok says that yeah, you can do one in front of two because it's a door. It's a class where they're asking back and forth. But books and large audiences where the rabbi is giving a dirashah that's not meant to be asked questions to, then perhaps that would be okay. So maybe that explains today's Svarim on Kabbalah, as well as Shiurim on Kabbalah, where they're supposed to be um, okay based on this Rav Tzadok. Fine. Let's get into the actual Gemara. So we're on Yud Alpha Amud Bet, about 8-9 lines from the bottom, and the two dots. How do I know Maaseh Bereshit? I cannot teach in front of two. From where do I know this? So the Gemara says, the rabbis learn. We have a pasuk in Devarim. Pasuk in Devarim says, I'm going to read the whole pasuk first, so we'll have the whole pasuk for ourselves and understand it better. The pasuk is in Devarim 4:32. The pasuk says, Ki sha'al na leyamim rishonim, asher hayu lefanecha, lemin hayom asher bara adam, asher bara Elohim adam al haaretz, u'miktzeh hashemayim v'ad kitzeh hashemayim. For inquire now regarding the early days that preceded you, from the day when Hashem created man on earth, and from one end of heaven to the other end of heaven. Now, Kisha al Nalayim Nishonim says the Gemara. You learn from this, Yahid Shoev and Shanaim Shoalin. This pasuk tells us only one person can ask and not two. Therefore, you cannot have two students. You can only have one, because the lashon of She'al is a lashon yahid, one person asking. It's not in a plural language. Sha'al knew that they asked, we asked. No, so it's one person asking. Yachol yishal adam kodem shenivra haolam. You might think maybe the person can ask about everything before the world was created, what was there before Hashem decided to create the world. Tamid lomar. Therefore, the pasuk says, "Lemein hayom Hashem bara Elohim adam al haaretz." On the day when Hashem created mankind on earth. That means from the day that man was placed on earth. I might think, therefore, I could not ask questions on the 6 days of creation because Adam Rishon was made on the 6th day. Only from that day I can start asking. Right? Talmud Loimar, to the days that were before you. What days? The Sheshit Yemei Bereshit. You might think I can ask what's on top, what's on bottom, what's on left, what's on right, what's before, what's after, right? I can ask them. Why not? Talmud Lomar, no. ומקצה השמיים ועד קצה השמיים. מקצה השמיים ועד קצה השמיים אתה שואל, ואתה שואל מה למעלה, מה למטה, מה לפנים, מה לאחור. Basically, the Gemara is saying that there is a dominion of man. The man has a certain dominion of where they are, and that is where they can ask questions, in the place where they are able to be. And if they cannot be there, then they cannot ask questions there. From their dominion of where they are able to be. Okay. Hashto. The nafkile the mikseh shemayim v'kitzeh shemayim lemin hayom asher bara limodam al haaretz lamali. So now you're saying you can only ask in mankind's dominion, in humankind's dominion. That's where I can ask questions of. So then why do you have to tell me don't that you can't ask from beforehand? The min hayom asher bara lahim adam al haaretz, only ask from the creation of man. No, I already know this because if I can only ask in mankind's dominion, then I can only ask from when mankind was there. So why do I need this pasuk? The min hayom asher bara Elohim adam al haaretz. So the Gemara says, "Kediribi el azar," like Rabbi Elazar. The Amar Rabbi Elazar, because Rabbi Elazar said, "Adam Arishon min haaretz ad l'rakia." Adam Arishon was from the Aretz to the Rakia. Okay, he was from the ground to the Rakia. How do I know? Because it says as follows. שנאמר למן היום אשר ברא אלוהים האדם על הארץ ולמקצה השמיים. He went from the Aretz until the Shamayim. Now, Adam Rishon was so big, so what happened? So the Gemara says, V'kivan shesarach, and once he soured, he made the sin. Hiniyah HaKadosh Baruch Hu yadav alav umi'ato. Hashem placed his hand upon him and diminished him. He made him only up to 100 amas tall, says the Yalkut Shimoni. Others say the Adam was reduced to a height of 1,000 amot, right? Still pretty big. Okay. Okay. Shneimar, how do we know this? There was a later and an earlier time, Tzartani, Vatashit Alai Kampicham. This Pasuk in Tehillim says there was a later and earlier time that Hashem created Adam, the earlier time when he was a giant and huge and up to the sky. And the second time was when he had to reduce him, he had to place his palm upon him. Amar Rabbi Yehuda Amarav. Adam Rishon wasn't from the earth to the Shamayim. But Adam Rishon, Misof HaOlam, V'ad Sofo Haya. He was from one end to the other end. Meaning, he would lay down, and wherever his hand would be, his body would go around the whole globe, right? And come around to the other side. That's how tall he was. When he would lay down, it would go all the way around. Adam Rishon, Misof HaOlam, V'ad Sofo Haya, Shineimar, because it says, Lamin Hayom Asher Bara Elohim Adam al haaretz. He went from one end to the other end, and that's what it is. But kivin shisarach, הניח הקדוש ברוך הוא ידו עליו ומיעטו. Once Adam Rishon did the sin of the Eitzadat, Hashem shortened him. Shneimar, but Hashem alai kapecha. Hashem placed his palm upon him, so to speak, and reduce him. If this is the case, where how could it be? Both these teachings. How could it be that he's from the earth to the sky, and he's from the whole earth from one point to the other point all the way around? It cannot be the same measurement. Obviously, to the sky, there's a lot more space to go to the heavens, to the Rikia. So the Gemara says, "Idi v'idi had shi'urahu." There is idi v'idi had shi'urahu. It's all one shear. It's all one measurement. Okay. Again, and the Mefarshim say that these measurements are not meant to be literally. Says the Yad Ramam. Others want to understand that it refers to his mind. His mind was able to comprehend heaven and earth, right? And when Hashem created, when Hashem said he was going to create the mankind, and the angels said, "What's the type of thing?" And then Hashem said they're going to be very smart. And Hashem said to the Malachim, name the animals. They didn't have names for them, but when Adam Rishon was creating, his comprehension was so that he was able to understand and give a name appropriately for each animal. Some want to say that it's a microcosm of the old creation, and the reason for creation was mankind. And so that's what this Gemara is trying to say. So we have a lot of responsibility, as if the world was created for us, then we have to do it correctly. Okay, continues the Gemara. V'amar Rav Yehuda amar Rav. Asad devarim nivrahu b'yom rishon ve'eluhen. There were 10 things created on the first day. So on the first day of creation, there were 10 things that were created. Shamayim va'aretz, heavens and earth. Tohu vavohu. There's something called tohu, and there's something called vohu. We're going to explain that soon, Be'ezat Hashem. Or v'choshech, light and darkness. Ruach umayim, breath and water. Midat yom umidat laila, the length of a day and the length of a night. All these 10 things were created on the first day. How do we know this? Shamayim ba'aretz, as it says, v'reshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. Hashem created the Shamayim and the Haaretz. Tohu vavo, and it says in the pasuk, v'haaretz hayita tohu vavo, and there was tohu and vavo. Or v'choshech, how do we know? Choshech dichtiv v'choshech apnei tehom, and then it says v'yomer Elohim yihi or, there should be light. Ruach umayim, breath and water. Dichtiv v'ruach Elohim merachefet al pnei hamayim, and the breath of God hovered upon the surface of the water. So here you have it in the pasuk. Midat yom umidat laila, the measurement of night and the measurement of day, meaning that within every day there's 24 hours. Part of it is day, part of it is night. Sometimes there's longer days, sometimes there's longer nights. How do we know that? It says, Vahi erev, Vahi boker, yom echad. There was night and day, one day. So you have in the pasuk all these 10 things. Now, when he said tohu, vohu, the Gemara wants to know now, what is tohu? What is vohu? Tana, it was told in the right time. Tohu, kav yarok, shemakifet kol olam kulo. Tohu is a green line that encircles the entire world. So there's this green line, whatever this means, Abutai. We really don't understand that. I got to take Gemara, but whatever it means, there's a green line that encircles the entire world, and darkness comes out from there. Shneemar, Yashech Hoshech Sitro Sevivotav. Bohu. What is Bohu? Bohu Elu Avanim Ham Fulamot Ham Shukaod Batehom. Refers to damp stones that are deep in the sea. Shemehen Yotzein Mayim. That from them come the water. From them come the water. Shneemar. V'nata aleya kav tohu va'avnei vohu. As it says and then he shall extend upon it the line of tohu and the stones of bohu. Okay, so a little bit of a Kabbalistic concept here brought down in the Zohar that's found in the Ein Yaakov of the Art Scroll and its insights in the bottom. They say that in the Zohar it explains that this darkness, this line, is the filters, meaning that if it wasn't for this line of darkness and this vohu, the world would be so clear that Kadosh Baruch Hu runs the world that no one would come to sin. So Hashem created in the world a tohu and a vohu to make people, you know, think that bad is good and that it's okay and there's no God or whatever it is, because otherwise, if it was so clear, then people would sin purposely, right, and monstrously against Hakadosh Baruch Hu. This way, at least they're not entirely sure. And tohu vavohu. That's at least in a nutshell what the article brings down in B'Shem the Zohar. The or now, the Gemara said one of the things that was created on the first day was or. The or b'yom rishon yibare was light created on the first day. But it's written in Pasuk, V'yiten otam Elohim b'rakia hashamayim uchtev v'hi erev v'hi boker yom revi'i. Yom revi'i. It says that on the fourth day Hashem put the sun and the moon. So the light was on the fourth day. How do you say it's on the first day? Kedribi Elazar. The Amar Rabbi Elazar. Or Shebara Kadosh Baruch Hu b'yom rishon. The light that Hashem created on the first day, Adam Sofer Bo Misof Ha'olam, V'ad Sofo. It was so powerful, so clear, that a person can see from one end of the earth to the other. A person can see from now until the future. It was a very powerful, special type of light that gave a special vision to a person. Kivan Shenistakel Kadosh Baruch Hu b'dor Mabul v'dor Haflaga. Once Hashem saw the Dor Mabul and Dor Haflaga, whatever this means, and he saw that their deeds would be bad, and they would use this probably in a bad way. Amad ungrazo mehen. And he went up and proceeded to hide it from them. Shne'emar va'yimana menashaim onam. And he's withheld the light from the wicked. Omi ganazo. And for whom did he hide it for? The tzaddikim la'ativ lavo, for the tzaddikim who will come in the future. Shne'emar v'yar Elohim et ha'or ki tov. Ve'en tov el tzaddik, shne'emar imru tzaddik ki tov, kivan shra'a she'or shenignazo tzaddikim samach. When the light saw that God had hidden it for the righteous, it got gladdened. Shne'emar or tzaddikim yismach. The light of the tzaddikim make the person became happy knowing that they're going to be a light for the tzaddikim. Now, again, what is this Oragonos? Why was it created? Why can't the tzaddikim have it? So similar idea, like we mentioned about the Tohu, is that again, it's such a clarity that a person can't sin, and if they do sin, they're rebelling against Hashem openly. Hashem didn't want that, so Hashem closed it. It's interesting. The Zohar says, it's again brought down in Yaakov of the Art Scroll edition in his insights. It says that the Zohar says that all of the world is animated through this Or HaGanuz, and it's still out there today. And then when a person is mehadesh for the Shei Torah, he taps into this Or HaGanuz, and it comes out to him. And those who say the Or HaGanuz is what's it called? Is applicable to even today to Talmidei Chachamim who are learning and mehadeshei kedushei Torah. Another way to understand the fourth day light and the first day light is Kitanai. It was told about is Machloket Tanaim that says as follows: Or Shabbat Kadosh Baruch Hu b'Yom Rishon, Adam Tzofeh Mamit Bo B'Sof HaOlam V'Ad Sofo. Divrei Yaakov. That's Rabbi Yaakov. We already saw Rabbi Yaakov's opinion. Chachamim Omrin. Chachamim say no. Hem Orot Shebaranu b'Yom Rishon v'Lo Natelo Ad Yom Revi'i. There were lights that Hashem created on the first day, and they were hanging around, not being placed into the right place until Yom Revi'i. I saw an interesting shot, both from Rabbi Rucham, I believe, that What was the idea of Hashem creating and then right away hiding the Or HaGonas, according to Rabbi Yaakov? So he says that the lesson here is that sometimes we can create things, we realize it's improper, and right away we should hide them. We shouldn't say, "Oh, I already did it, let it be." No. Sometimes you do something and then you realize it's not the right thing. Go ahead and hide it. Go ahead and reverse it. Sometimes important to reverse things, even though you worked hard on it. Amar Rav Zutra Bar Tuvia Omer Rav. Hashem created the world with 10 things. A lot of Kabbalists want to understand that these 10 things that we mentioned before, 10 things you're mentioning now, also have to do with the Sefirot, the Sephiros that the Kabbalah is talking about, the Ethos Sefirot. Okay, what are the 10 things this world was created with? Chachma, with tuna, with dat, with wisdom, with insight and understanding, with koach, with strength, with ga'ara, and with rebuke, with gura, and with strength. Okay, with might, b'tzedek umishpat, with righteousness and justice, b'chesed u'rachamim, kindness and compassion. So you have 10 things that the world was created with. Bechokhma utfuna. How do I know? Dichtiv, because we have a pasuk in Mishlei that says Adonai bechokhma yasad aretz konen shemayim betfuna. So here you have chokhma and tfuna. B'da'at dichtiv b'dato tehomot nivqa'u. Through his understandings, the depths were cleaved. B'koach ugvura, with koach ugvura. How do I know? With strength and might. Dichtiv Mevin Harim Bichocho Nizar Bigvura, sets mountains with his strength, who girded his might. Pasuk in Tehillim. Gada Bigada, with rebuke. All right, we'll understand what this means in a second with rebuke. Dichtib Amodei Shamayim Yirofafu V'Tamahu Migarato. The pillars of the heavens shudder and are astounded by his rebuke. B'tzedek u'mishpat. Dichtib Tzedek u'mishpat Mechon Kis'echa. Righteousness and justice are your throne's foundation. B'chesed u'rachamim, kindness and compassion. Dichtib Zechor achamecha Adonai v'chasadecha ki me'olam hema. Remember your compassion and your kindness, for they are for time immemorial. Again, at creation. Amar Yehuda Amarav. You have to understand what it means that Hashem created this world with a rebuke. B'sha'asha bara kadosh baruch hu ta'olam. It was expanding continuously like two unraveling balls of warp thread. So it just kept going and going. Remember, Hashem is unlimited. Hashem is limitless. When Hashem's creation, it can just continue being more and more and more. How many species of spiders there are, how many species of everything there are, how many different plants, trees, all these type of things. It's because Hashem is so limitless that it continues and continues and continues. So it could have gone and gone and gone. Till Hashem rebuked the world and stopped it. Meaning he limited his limitlessness. Hashem put a limit on his limitlessness. Shenemar, Amudei Shemayim, Yerofafu, Veitmu Megarato. V'hayin Amar Shreik L'Shakish. This is Reish Lakish taught. My Dichtav, Ani El Shaddai. What is the meaning that I am El Shaddai? Ani Hu Sha'amarti Le'olam Dai. She said, I am the one who said to the world, stop. Stop. It's too much. You have to know when to limit. Even if a person has a lot of koach, a lot of things, he has to know when to put a limit to what he's doing. Right? HaKadosh Baruch Hu had to put a stop to the spiraling of the creation. Amar Reish Lakish. Sh'ash HaKadosh Baruch Hu et hayam. When Hashem, B'shash HaKadosh Baruch Hu hayam, when he was creating the water, hayam archiv v'holech. It was expanding continuously. Ad shegar HaKadosh Baruch Hu v'yibosho. Till Hashem rebuked it and it started to dry up. Someone on Shabbat said the Pacific Ocean that can fit all the 7 continents in them and have more space for more. We know 70% of the world is water. Once the water started, it just kept going, going, and going. And Hashem had to stop it and make some of it dry up. Shnema, Go'er Bayam, Vayibasheu, V'chol HaNaharot, Heriv, and makes all the rivers parched. So there is an idea here that Kadosh Baruch Hu put a limit to his creation and made it stop. Although it could have gone more and more, it rebuked it rebuked it, so it would stop. Sometimes we gotta stop while we're ahead. We have to know where and when and what. Okay, this is where the Gemara for this week. Shavua tov lekulam.